Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Sofia Event Centre here in beautiful Bulgaria. My name is Mitch Leslie, and if you've just joined us, you have missed some incredible games and amazing scenes here at the event, but I guarantee you there is more to come. We're going to jump straight into this one, so without further ado, it's time to raise the curtain on our final competitive team for this weekend. We haven't seen them on stage yet, but I'm sure we're about to see some stuff from them. It's GGWP.
Do we feel prepared? Yes, of course. We did a long preparation for this tournament, and we are very confident right now. Our goal here is to prove that we are a world team, one of the best teams in the world. Of course, we want to win in this season finals, but first of all, the most important for us is the quality of our performance. I would say like that. Talking about the play styles, there are aggressive teams, there are defensive teams. I would describe my own team as a balanced one. Sometimes we use aggressive moves or even aggressive tactics, sometimes we are more defensive. It depends on the opponents we are playing versus and on our mood also. What tactic we want to use right now. We want to be unexpected and unpredictable. I would say we should be in top 3 with Virtus Pro, and third spot is variable. Any team can be there. We are GGWP, and we want to say a few words to our Russian-speaking fans. Мы команда GGWP, и мы благодарим всех, кто за нас болеет, и также нашего спонсора, компанию GGWP. GGWP, play hard, go bro!
All right, so now that we have seen a little bit about what GGWP have been up to, I'm here on the stage with Ronnie. Many times we've met on this stage, my friend. You're definitely a veteran of these events, and I'm sure this time no different for you guys in terms of your preparation. Now, let's harp a little bit about what we've seen so far this weekend. Probably some results that no one could have expected. A lot of teams will be coming to an event like this expecting to go up against Virtus Pro and sort of preparing for that in a big way. How does Kazna Crew moving into the final change things for you, if at all?
Well, first of all, I'm glad to see you too. Nice to meet you. And talking about that match, I think that it was just a bad choice for Virtus Pro to play Prokhorovka, which is a little bit random map. Any skillful team should be looking to play on more calm maps like Ruinberg, Himmelsdorf, and Prokhorovka. It gives chances to the team that is more aggressive, more creative. I think the Kazna Crew showed that they were more reactive on that map, and they got some luck too. So that's why the result is like it is.
Do you feel at all like you're at a disadvantage having to have not played the first day, and now you coming up and getting your first chance to play on the stage? Do you think that's something you just have to overcome?
Yeah, I think that not playing World of Tanks for 3 days is quite a big break, but it's a minor advantage for Schoolbus that played yesterday. Of course, it's an advantage, but it's not so big.
Okay, well, obviously you guys have got a little bit of a preparation to do, so thank you for joining me on the stage, and the best of luck to you guys. It's time to meet their competitor, of course. We saw them yesterday, absolutely dominant, straight through the winners bracket. It is our friends with the crayons on their white t-shirts, Schoolbus.
The atmosphere in our team is ready for battle. We are quite concentrated on what's going to happen, and we were preparing for it. Not as good as we should, but I guess we will have to rely on our skill and some luck. We were practicing with different teams. We saw quite a lot of things, new things that we could use, and we are ready to use them for ourselves, so we have a few aces up our sleeves. Every team came prepared for this tournament, and everybody was doing their best to get here and to give the best performance they can. So I guess every team here is a great opponent, and you should not underestimate any of your opponents in here. По машинам!
Calm, confident and collected. That's definitely a few words that you'd use to describe Schoolbus. Even Arklet mentioned in the video that the preparation maybe wasn't as thorough as they would have liked, but they've silenced the critics, especially when it comes to their performance yesterday. Just absolutely dominant, you guys. I'm sure, having seen the way things have transpired this weekend, surely you're still feeling confident. Now, in GGWP's video, Ronnie described his team as a balanced team, not overly aggressive or defensive. How would you compare yourselves to them in that regard, and do you think that benefits you or otherwise?
GGWP are a very collected team. They're very coordinated, so they can play fluent strategies, but they are not overly aggressive or overly defensive. Us, on the other hand, we can sometimes do extra rush or deep defense or something like that. And I think sometimes it's good if enemy does not expect it, but if the team is reading what are you going to do, we will get in trouble with that. So it's all up to their captain.
So I guess the plan for you guys is to try and be adaptive and deal with their situations. It sounds like you kind of described you guys as like a polar opposite team, either really aggressive or really defensive. What are your thoughts though? Like everyone's expected to play against Virtus.pro in the final. Does this change like the maps you're focusing on? Does this change your strategy in a big way? Or do you really just have a set in stone approach and you try and work around that?
Well, we will probe our opponents first to feel how they're going to play this game, I guess. And I'm not thinking about just rushing them or expecting them to give up without a fight, because they are the top dog here, I would say. So we will be careful.
Big respect going over towards GGWP. Thank you, Arklet, and good luck to your team. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you've probably heard enough from the stage here. You know exactly what these teams are planning to do and how they plan to do it. Let's get the experts' take on the game that we're about to see. Dorjan, take us in.
Thank you, Mitch. Now, first things first, number 2 seed on the online stage, GGWP. We haven't seen them yet, and that's what we really wanted to do. So, actually, this team is relatively new to me. I didn't know where they come from. So, take me through the history of GGWP. Where they come from?
They actually used to be an EU called the Team D-Nova. Then they moved to the NA League, stayed there for 1 year, and they come back now as a GGWP.
So that's where they went. They went over to NA and came back. Okay, well, glad to have them back here. Got to number 2 seed. Take me through their strengths and weaknesses, Mojo.
GGWP is really thoughtful team. They will play tactically, if need rush, but first they will think what will they do. Strong team in every aspect, train regularly, think about everything. I think in every aspect they outweighed Schoolbus now. So
GGWP, you feel that they've just managed to get ahead of Schoolbus in this regard. So, okay, so let's have a look at their stats. This is how they've been rated. They're a bit balanced all over, a little bit lacking in 2 areas. They're not so aggressive, they're not so reactionary, and that's exactly what Arklet said from Schoolbus. He basically said that we're more extreme than them. We can do the more desperate defense. We can do the more desperate attack, and they kind of stay in the middle. Is that a fair thing to say?
Yeah. Even Ronnie said in the interview that they are a hybrid team. They can be aggressive, they can be defensive, so they read the opponent and then decide if they're going to want to be defensive or aggressive. And there are many people that think GGWP is the best team in the EU at the moment. I even said to Ronnie before the finals that you guys were the best team we played on the regular season, like against some other teams, we had a chance. Against them, we didn't have nothing. Like, we couldn't do anything. They just killed us.
They have one weakness as a team. They can be surprised and they don't know how to react. They lost only one match during the season. It was a first match against TCM. Oh dear, Laughter will maybe explain why TCM is mentioned again. And if you do surprise tactics and think them through, they can fall down because then they crumble and they don't know what to do. If it's unseen, that can be the fall of them.
So TCM actually defeated them during the league, or the only one?
5-1.
5-1. Very solid victory. I think that's a nice thing to mention there. But their opponents of the day, Schoolbus, we did see them yesterday. Not necessarily their strongest or weakest performance. They were decent, much better than the online phase. So what made the difference between the online Schoolbus and the offline Schoolbus?
I think they don't really take it that serious, the online part. They just want to get to the offlines, and in offlines, things get serious, and they really pay attention to the offline finals.
Definitely, the offline is the pinnacle for every of these teams. They actually prepare online phases like a training period. They gather points. They try to be as high as it can be, but this is the time they really shine.
Yeah, I'd like to say that those ratings are a little bit, I don't know, probably based more upon the online phase than the offline phase.
Definitely.
So they've been performing much better here on offline. So I think this is a really perfect time to go head-to-head. Let's see these teams really go against each other. It's hard to compare them. It really seems to be the way. So we did... take us through. What is Schoolbus going to have to do then if you think that GGWP is that far ahead?
They need to have something special prepared. I would say Schoolbus is individually better, but GG Well Played is a team, like big T in there ahead, like a big team, whereas Schoolbus is more like individual players playing good together. We talked about this during the morning, and yeah, that's what I feel.
GGWP is more thoughtful, as we said, and has more steady trainings with the more serious partners. That is a big, big plus. So, Schoolbus can maybe do an ace like Kazna did in previous match. No one expected that. No one saw it coming. But here you go. Titan fell.
Well, we have seen one Titan fall already today, and there's a good chance it could happen again. So I'm going to have to ask you, what do you reckon is going to be the result? I want numbers from you. Is it going to be 5-2 to one of them again, or is it going to be a closer match this time?
Yeah, which one is the Titan?
Well, in a way, it's Schoolbus because they did win the last
that's
season.
What I mean.
However, a lot of people are saying that they had a bit too much of a shaky online season, as you said, GGWP. So maybe this is a battle of the Titans, more like the Titan will be falling. A Titan will fall. Yeah. It doesn't mean that one of them isn't.
Yeah, I want to see an upset, but still I'm going to go with 5-3 for GG Well Played.
Interesting. Mojo?
I'm actually going for maybe even 5-2 for GG Well Played, but my heart is hoping vice versa.
Ooh, so you're laying it on the line now. I think it's 5-2, but I hope it's the other way around.
Yes.
So GGWP is the vote from the analytic desk, but what do you guys at home think?
I mean, in the online stage, both of the teams, of course, met, and it ended 5-0 for GG Well Played. And I think people at home are taking this into account. It seems that they're getting cautious about what happened maybe the match before. They don't want to overdo themselves. It's 67% for Schoolbus at this moment, and they're expecting a very close match, and I can't wait for the match to start.
It does seem that's about right, I would say, because we did say that Schoolbus is performing much better than the online. 5-0 online doesn't mean much because yesterday it was a totally different team. We've said that together, that Schoolbus offline have been totally different. And GGWP, people are saying, are the clear favorites for this. But we think different.
There is one thing that can go for Schoolbus. If anyone remembers Season 4 finals, they barely made it through the groups. Like, this thick. That's how close it was for them to fall out. And then they just went through and beat everyone, took the finals, then they took the next rumble in the West and so on. So they're a team that can go high. I'm hoping for that kind of moment for them. But if you go raw statistics and like cold mind and whatever, they're going to lose.
Well, let's throw the statistics out of the window because it seems to be that the last battle just it doesn't matter. Today is a day of reverse statistics. But take me through the map banning and picking, because that's already been done.
GG Well Played won the contest, so then both teams banned their worst maps, Ruinberg and Murwanka. After that, Schoolbus banned Himmelsdorf. I think it's the same reason that Kazna had previously. They don't want to go to those close brawls. And then it started to get interesting because GGWL played banned Cliff and let Prokhorovka through. And Ronnie just smack-talked WePro for letting Prokhorovka through against Kaznakru. So they did exactly the same thing.
In fact, they had to choose it because of the way that the banning and picking were done. It's their map to pick.
Yeah, they had the chance to let Cliff through, Steps through, or Prokhorovka through, and they let Prokhorovka through and banned Cliff.
Interesting fighting talk from Ron when he's actually using it himself. Any comment on that, Mojo?
In my eyes, it was a smart choice because Schoolbus actually maybe doesn't have a highest win ratio on Cliff, but they feel confident on it. They like the map texture. They're good on it. It just goes with them. Proho is, it seems like a gamble map, but it's not. It's really how much you can put other team in worse position, and it's always some kind of group fights. And in group fights, I think GGWP is better.
So we have a Schoolbus defense on Steps, is that right?
Yeah,
Schoolbus defense on Steps. Take us through that, just ever so quickly, your expectation of what Schoolbus is going to do on the defense of Steps.
Schoolbus likes artillery, so we might see the M44 again in the Steps, and they might build their defense around that. Maybe even try to drive it down to the same spot that Dakhilsar used with the Rheinmetall and RU up in the A10, A0 position. So that might happen. Well, we just need to wait and see.
And what do you think GGWP have to do to break that defense?
To play hard and strike immediately that line, because that directly negates any possibility of climbing. They will immediately spot them and maybe even catch entire team. It pans down, to say it like that.
All right, well, it looks like the game is ready to go underway. So I think it's enough time to stop speculating and find out what actually is going to go down on this last semi-final battle between Schoolbus and GGWP. Lauren and Ollie, I bet you can't wait either.
Yeah, I think we're in the exact same boat as you guys are. It's a hard one to call on this for me, at least personally. I've always felt that back in the days under that Denova flag, GGWL played always seemed to be trailing behind your Schoolbuses, your Virtus Pros. They were third, fourth, around that marker. Always your team to be championing. You were waiting for them to reach their limits, their peak. And I'm not sure if it's going to be today or not. I think I'm going to go with Schoolbus on this one. I'm not going to lie to you. What about you?
Schoolbus just seem to be getting better and better as they go through. I mean, they beat Kaznakru, they beat Wusa, they went through the upper bracket yesterday. They managed to get through that pretty easily.
By that theory, they beat Virtus Pro.
Well, yeah, true. But I think GGWL plays a team which is just unbelievably good for considering they haven't been in the WGL Gold Series since Season 3, where they took 4th against Kaznakru.
Yep.
They lost 4th against Kaznakru, I guess you could put it like that. So they don't have the greatest offline season, but I always said that they're a team that can build up. Having said that, really only Ronnie and YR, for instance, are the ones left. I mean, this season they got Meritorious in there, FC Dynamo, the star player for that team, who's been unbelievable. But I think Schoolbus have the edge over them since yesterday.
I'm with you on that one. However, I've always liked them on this map, and it was FC Dynamo that came to mind. It was Phoenix, who used to previously join him up in the Rust position, as it is now newly titled. I used to love those two creating the Crossfire. However, this map has changed, it's adapted, it's become a different beast. And it's the first time we'll be watching GGWL played in the tournament, as they did come through in second place, therefore getting through to the semi-finals in day 2, which we're watching right now. But taking it into the game, is GGWL played on the attack, and it looks like they're quite confident, quite fluid in this, and they're yet to fully commit in this one. They seem to be kind of taking their time, and it's good. It's good to see them willing to move, willing to rotate. And what do you think this is going to do for Schoolbus? Just keep them on their toes, basically, or?
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty standard start. You kind of look over towards the right side, see if you can catch anything out, seeing what the other team's doing, just feeling, are they confident, are they going forwards, seeing if they're actually going for the A1 to A6 area, and then rotating around. This is pretty standard. You had the T-37 played by Ronnie, of course, the team captain, the shot caller for GGWL played in the middle to spot that A-line. Now, Steps is like one of my favorite maps because it's so balanced. It's 50-50 in the online phase, and it allows teams to win attacking and defending rounds just based on their skill and their performance. There has been changes, but the changes are okay. Does give the attacker a little bit more of an edge, but I think it's pretty balanced, and really it's going to kind of dictate to me which team's on better form in this matchup. But GGWL played, heading around, I think they're going to go for the cap. Ronnie's playing the T-37. If they really wanted to go for the cap as their last move, it would have been a 59-16. So I think the damage will come in it does support as well the fact that they're going towards the A6 area. That line just hasn't been abused enough. I've always thought, okay, yesterday teams would have been pushing their way up through that A6 area, using the kind of tunnel there, but they haven't. They've kind of sat back and gone for the east side push from the south.
And FC Dynamo is at least going to the position. I love seeing him in, so I'll be interested to see how well he performs there. However, it's not Phoenix joining him. It's actually, I think it was Diablo up there with him. However, that aside, we are seeing them setting up, and it looks as though they're starting to maybe use the line that you theorized, that T54. Going a little bit further ahead, Diablo there, feeling confident maybe, looking for a way in. First shot does come from him. Not going to find its target, and no damage caused so far for either side.
And Diablo's got himself into good position, and I was theorizing, why don't they just do what Na'Vi does when you're defending? You just put a M26 Pershing where Diablo is just in front of him, and you pretty much cancel that A6 area push out completely. Instead, Schoolbus is kind of being very defensive, and I have to say it, they're playing that kind of deep defense Arclit was talking about in that pre-game interview with Mitch. So interesting he's doing that. Arclit does receive the first damage. Cap's on the way via AMX 1390. Interesting because clearly it's not a tank you want to cap with.
It's not an expendable thing, is it?
No, it's definitely not expendable. I mean, the reason why they're doing it is because it won't get spotted.
Yeah.
So Schoolbus do have to commit to actually do something here. And I think GGWP's kind of playing it cleverly. They got the T37 from the south, making sure they can see the rotate. They've got the T54 Phoenix hull down alongside Diablo up north. So they're just kind of doing everything correctly, not really making any mistakes. But it's logical stuff, and it's stuff Schoolbus surely would have predicted.
Bread and butter stuff in theory for Schoolbus. They should know how to deal with it. Nuclear, the player we saw doing this time and time again, he's the man they sadly send out to sometimes be on a bit of a suicidal mission. Might have to deal with those players in towards the Cap. However, Cap being halted, he could now be in trouble, and it looks like Phoenix could get around the back up while Armley all going to start heading in, and maybe this is a bit of early aggression coming out from Schoolbus we've not seen before.
Yeah, but look, GGWP are really in good positions to deal with it, but Mary Tory does get tracked. He has to reverse. Can't peek too much, and well, the damage is going the way of GGWP right now, as Schoolbus is kind of forced into the middle of the field, but GGWP can't peek too much. Apal's getting himself into a good position, and I think that's what Schoolbus wants to do. They want to force GGWP to make the peaks.
Well, GGWP are making the peaks, but they're landing the shots for it as well. Schoolbus yet to really find any comfort here. They are in the middle of the field half the time, but they've finally got a bit of a spot that maybe they could sit in towards, get a couple of shells out from. As Diablo does take one, Mary takes another. Maybe this is the opening they needed. Dead Hunter peers around, not going to find much more as the shells are coming through, and this is new battle lines drawn. Dead Hunter goes for a little bit more of an aggressive shot, gets denied by Griffin. And first kill comes into place for GGWP.
Schoolbus now are a little bit of a disadvantage, but hit points are still pretty even. One gun out of the game, not a big deal, and GGWP want to push on that.
GGWP, though, starting to dwindle in that health pool as Nuclear does find Griffin, so kind of avenging his fallen teammate. International! Oh, Nuclear playing defense perfectly, but takes down one. Can he follow up towards Phoenix? Beautiful. 1v1 going down. Nuclear waiting for the shell to be available. Shell for shell, back and forth. Nuclear a little lower, but Phoenix needs this one. Necessity comes through, and Phoenix does deliver, but this game is still very close, but GGWP just seem lacking in HP.
Ron also takes down Apal. He was on a one-shot. That's, of course, the T-37 coming into the action. The DPM is insane on that tank. Cap's going to come on the way, but I'm not sure if exactly they have time. Arclit still playing that T-32 fantastically, being that turret to reset every time he has to. But two tanks will be required to cap theirs. Well, 120 seconds is in 7:54, but Schoolbus are hanging on quite nicely here.
Oh, it's still a 5v3 though. There's a lot of numbers with GGWP and a lot of guns there. But as you said, there's a lot of HP with Schoolbus, and most of it's with Arclit at the moment. 1.2k still with him. 1.1 on the Annihilator. Cap continues. Both of these are pretty much one-shots here. Phoenix using himself as cover. The Annihilator peers down, but Shanish finds Phoenix. It's down to just Mary and Diablo in the cap circle. Lovely shot from the Annihilator, finds Diablo, looking for the follow-up. Waits for it. Gonna get it beautifully down. The Annihilator on point today, and GGWP no time left and no options left.
It's not really that many shots the Annihilator misses. Everyone remembers his game on the cliff yesterday in that T-49. Even with that inaccurate gun, he can hit it, so an AMX 1390 is a piece of cake for him. As you said, FC Dynamo and Ron, both one-shots, the two left, and it's definitely Schoolbus's game now as time runs out, and 1-0 victory on the defensive side for Schoolbus.
Yeah, and I think it's something we can come to expect from Schoolbus, these performances of a good amount. However, it was a strange game. The HP just seemed to kind of trickle away from GGWL Played, and then of course Arclit, still being in such a hefty tank, seemed to just gain so much presence towards that late game. It seemed almost impossible for GGWL Played then.
Yeah, they peaked too much, they received too much early damage, then they decided to push in the middle, which was okay. But as you said, the problem was always going to be Arclit. He didn't even get close to dying, and GGWL Played. Yes, they kind of got the advantage in that middle area. They managed to get the decapping tanks down, but still, Annihilated on 100% HP, Arclit on 92% hit points. It was fairly easy. Schoolbus didn't look tested, but GGWL Played. I think they need to be a little bit more decisive. That northern cap is okay. But if their whole idea was not to cap, I think they should have done something else. I mean, we saw some interesting tactics from Penta, for instance, putting those 251s up there, putting the Waffentrager up there. Maybe they should try and take the leaf out of that book. But it was just, as Arclit said, a game to test the waters. How the other teams are playing, how the other team is playing, are they warmed up? What kind of tactics are they using? How are the individual players doing together? How's the synergy going? So the first round tells us a lot, but doesn't really provide definitive results.
Yeah, and I think
apart from when it's first pro versus Casma.
Yeah, then that's a bit different, but I think that's a one-off. But I think you summed it up really well, that it is very, very beige almost in that first one. No one wants to give anything away too much. No one wants to make those mistakes just yet, and everyone wants to get warmed up. Bearing in mind, first game for Schoolbus in day 2, they did have day 1. But still, this is the first time we're seeing GGWL Played on the stage, and even in a couple of seasons' times, really, they weren't here for the previous season, so it's nice seeing them back on this point, obviously. However, they need to get themselves going, lacking a little bit of that kind of execution that they really do tote online that has got them these phenomenal stats and the fantastic position they got through in second place. But I want to see them now kind of step up and really start showing us why they came through in second position, because we didn't really see it that much in that game.
No, they have got a lot to prove, and, you know, they haven't got a lot of experience at these LAN events. They're an online team so far. Everyone knows that online team definition where everyone can play in the comfort of their own home. Yep. But when it comes to these high-pressure situations for a quite inexperienced group of players, it can be a whole different story. But, you know, just looking at steps in a little bit more detailed, 68% win overall for GGWL Played. More wins on the attacking side, surprisingly, 8-7. So they show a little bit more volition, a little bit more bite to their bark on the attacking side when they can dictate the pace of play. So I think they need to pick up the next round if they want to kind of support that. And Schoolbus needs to kind of just play logically and not do anything which could put them at jeopardy winning this second defensive round.
I think Schoolbus are on the right track, at least. They're starting to consider their options. They look very clinical so far. They didn't overextend. They didn't make mistakes in that first one. I think that's what we came to expect of a team of Schoolbus's caliber. But now we are getting ourselves almost ready for round 2. So hopefully time for GGWL Played to step up, to keep up to their actual stats they provided throughout that online phase. They should win this one. Now, unless you take us through those lineups any second now, if anything jumps out to you. But once again, we are into round number 2. It'll be Schoolbus on the defense, GGWL Played on the attack. And we're seeing a similar start, but is this what we expect by now?
GGWL Played is not messing around this time. They're not wasting any time. Clearly, they ran out of it last time, so they're going straight over towards the west side. Same lineup, though, so I imagine the same kind of tactics are going to come out. I guess the interesting thing is, unlike Penta and Kazna Crew, they're still favoring that 251, which, in my opinion, lost Virtus Pro their rounds against Kazna Crew and Prokhorovka. The T54 lightweight simply outplays it in many, many situations, in many, many areas. But then again, Steps is a little bit more hilly. It's a little bit harder to traverse on. So the 251 is a little bit more dynamic and easier to play. Perhaps versatile is a word to use there. But similar start from both teams, just a lot of blind shots coming out from GGWL Played.
And it's funny you mentioned the T54 and a couple of other tanks that people are starting to prefer. They're starting to look towards picking up, and Schoolbus picked it up from quite an early point when no one else was really using it every single chance possible. When it became an option because of other tanks maybe not having the strength, it really championed it quite early on. However, it does seem as though the game is beginning to find its form. And what are we seeing so far from GGWL Played? It looks quite similar to me, but as you said, slightly sped up.
Yeah, they just want to get things done very quickly. They clearly have a plan of attack. The 251s, interestingly, are waiting there. So I guess that they want to rotate around, or they just want to provide blind shots and cover to that T37 that is defending, but Montiablo's already over towards the left. It's his favorite position, and you got the support from behind in the 2-5-1.
Last time, GGWP played more centralized around that C line as Schoolbus made that move on the retake when they pushed across as well. Would you say that the 2-5-1s further south are in a better position to maybe weather Schoolbus coming forward and get those cross shots?
Yeah, it's definitely a problem. They didn't really do enough damage when Schoolbus did push through. Instead, they peaked. They had to peak to do the damage, and that provided Schoolbus a way to kind of get those hit points in their favor. But yeah, as you said, when International Griffin and FC Dynamo over towards the left in support from behind, they can just shoot straight onto the advancing tanks of Schoolbus. But still, the problem with having that is, if Schoolbus sees it, they can just rotate around, take down Montiablo and FC Dynamo.
And this is the play I wanted to point out right now. They're not doing the same thing. It seems like they're sending Apple out to kind of scout it out, see what's changed. And it's almost, Schoolbus thinking, this seems almost too easy. Why would they do the same thing exactly again? It's the same positions. Is he just trying to find out where the rest of these tanks are? Because they've not seen anyone else really, apart from that T-54 lightweights, that are pushing towards them. Is this Apple being a smart player right now?
But Armley just goes out, gets cancelled out, and Phoenix makes sure of that. That's the great positioning by GGWP play that guarantees them that kill. But still, once Schoolbus sees that, Apple might provide some cover and get some of this damage back.
And I'm curious how long Nuclear can last in these sort of positions. If he gets caught out, if he backs away, will those 2-5-1s have any sort of shot on towards him? Or is he still safe enough in that 1v1? But it's not a 1v1 anymore as shots come through. And I believe that might have actually been from Applewell catching Phoenix, and I'm not too sure myself. But Phoenix down quite low here. Nuclear takes a cheeky peek over towards the others. And already, GGWP played starting to lack in HP. Not drastically, nothing like before. But already at this point, you want to have a little bit more kind of meat to yourselves on the attack. You want to keep so much more so you can invest it into the cap. However, right now, we're seeing something different coming out here.
Apoel has to run away because GGWP played has two options. They can either push an A6 or they can chase down Apoel. They've seen that he's on his own and they want to focus him out, but the 2-5-1's very quick and Apoel's not a guy that often gets caught out in an awkward situation. Phoenix just goes down, and the fact that the MX-3090 2-5-1 are chasing Apoel gives Schoolbus an opportunity to finish off Phoenix
What a player.
by Apoel. I mean, he gets a kill on the way just when he's running away.
He's such a brilliant player, and it may not always be the biggest kills on occasion, but sometimes the work he does just changes the face of the game. However, now Nuclear could be in trouble. There's a lot of players very, very close by. Now, Apple had to back away a touch, so he could be folded in on. However, there's still Shanish, still Arclear, still the Annihilator, and Dead Hunter in this game. Schoolbus are truly maintaining numbers here and seeming to understand it, but look at Applewell. So confident, but maybe a bit too confident, maybe not. He gets one towards Mary, but now 1v1, he won't have the shell before him. Now Applewell gets tried, gets the shot, but takes him so low, but not low enough. Waits for one more, gonna deliver, surely waiting for the angle, gets it. Applewell doing wonders, but now Griffin gonna try and avenge his fallen teammate. And Applewell knows that he's gonna be down and out, but he did some great work. But was it enough? Has he now left Schoolbus vulnerable? Where's the line drawn?
That was a great play by Apple. I think he should have expected that GGWP played never just sends one tank on a rotate, especially when you're so far away. Schoolbus saw that Montiablo and FC Dynamo and the rest of the team are up north, so I'm not sure exactly why Apple died then, but he got the damage done. He did what was necessary, but has left Schoolbus a little bit vulnerable from the eastern side. You can see FC Dynamo and Montiablo want to take advantage of that, but I have to say it, they've received so much damage, I'm not sure if they can actually be able to do that crucial blow or be able to stand up to the might of Arclit in that T-32.
They're basically 2k down right now, almost exactly to a degree that, as you said, I'm not sure they can actually be able to deal with Schoolbus at this sort of point. 2.6k against 4.6, it's massive, and Griffin not landing shots isn't going to help. Shanish going to peer over, get one. Doesn't back out perfectly in time, however, does do enough. Griffin now having to look for more options as FC Dynamo and Montiablo will come in to try and support him. They will be able to single out Shanish, who does get 460 damage towards him. The Annihilator catching one from Griffin, cutting off the backup. Nice focus fire from GGWP played. This is what we grew to expect, but that sort of work coming back in from Schoolbus is halting these guys on every single front.
4 versus 3 now. Obviously, GGWP play wants to go forwards. They're not at a massive disadvantage. They got that Eastern cap. But again, it's about timing. Schoolbus are hanging on, they're retreating. They're doing a little bit of damage, they're getting some objectives, and then they're going back to the defensive line of Arclit.
And bearing in mind, Dead Hunter is already in the northwest, getting himself in a safe amount of distance to the rest of GGWP played. Now just to stand. GGWP played seemed to pull themselves together at the end, but now just FC Dynamo left alive. He does pick up Nuclear, but it's not enough. The Annihilator takes him down, and Schoolbus clinically pick up 2 rounds.
What I liked about Schoolbus in that round was that they didn't panic. They didn't really make any mistakes. Yes, Apoel got taken down, 2 versus 1. Perhaps he should have seen that GGWP would have rotated. But the fact that he took down Phoenix was enough to secure his team that victory in the end brawl because GGWP couldn't get the overmatch. Some fantastic play by Nuclear as well on that T54 definitely gave them a little bit of an edge as well. So really a rare calm moment from Schoolbus. We often see a little bit of panic from them, but they look collected.
They do, and I think this is a topic of discussion once again. Is a second day beneficial sometimes or not? Certain teams seem to flourish, others seem to perish a little, and so far I don't think we've really seen enough from GGWP. I think there's more, and I think they will provide more. The analysis desk, what do you make of their performance thus far?
Well, as we want to go through the analogy that we did yesterday, it's like a game of tennis. That was the serve for Schoolbus, and they hit it home. Nothing spectacular, nothing bad. But why did GGWP not succeed?
I think they played really sluggish. Okay, the attack on that cap is really nice, but they took their sweet time, they exchanged damage. In the last game we saw they even flunked when they attacked with 2 guys, 1 guy, and they lost. That was actually deciding moment for that one. On the first one they had bad positions, not covering what was supposed to be covered. For such a thoughtful team, they're actually proving that they're not doing very well in offlines.
That is kind of what Ollie was actually talking about earlier, and I think the general discussion where either GGWP will be amazing, like they were online, or they're going to bottle it because they seemed a bit nervous. People who were talking to them or watching them over the last few days since they've been here at the event were saying that they don't seem to be confident. They seem to be lacking something. They seem a bit shaky. A lot of people were saying, like, I expected them to win, but I'm not so sure. You got any points on that?
Yeah, like Mojo said, it's a bit shaky. They had a good idea, even in the first map. They tried to pull a Schoolbus to come over the ridge in the east, but a Schoolbus rotated to the south side and got the reset from there, and then just killed the tanks of the GGWP.
It was a very slow, methodical sort of poke, wasn't it? They moved in, they take a few shots, and they back off. They used all the time of the match. You said sluggish. What could they have done to speed it up?
They took some points, like on a chessboard, they took some positions, but they completely ignored some parts of the map. Like in first game, T37 was covering their sound flank practically alone, shooting the Schoolbus tanks that were ignoring it all the time. They were ignoring it. They were buying time. They had entire time T32 unharmed. Like if you ever watch a HP pool in a game, you could see entire time it was like 1k plus advantage for Schoolbus. They always had enough HP if needed to just suicide 1 tank and reset if needed. So you can't play like that. You must make some kind of advantage. Like Schoolbus is not kind of team that will just throw a tank and say kamikaze and I'm dead. No, they will do something. You can't win a team like that with that play. So in the next side, unless like snap out, this will be a serious issue for them. If they don't take at least one from this map, it will be repeating from the previous match.
Yeah, but we did have Schoolbus in the defense, and it was GGWP's game to win, not Schoolbus's game to lose. So now it's going to be reversed. Schoolbus is on the offensive. What do we expect to see from Schoolbus? How are they going to do it differently to GGWP?
I think they're going to use now the artillery. Arctic loves artillery, so we might see the artillery again, try to poke it from either the east side or the west side. Deny the C0 position with the artillery fire, or even if you go from the west side, then deny the T32 hold-down position in the dunes on the B7, B8 area.
And what sort of defense do we expect from GGWP?
Something with 32, yes, but to be honest, for attack, I think they'll go more with Pershing on Schoolbus than with RT. RT is a gamble, and Arclit plays Pershing as well. That can give them some advantages. GGWP completely ignored. They did put T54 in some position where Pershing can be very useful, but they didn't do anything around it. That's, again, the same problem. I think Schoolbus can just play a bit more faster, take better positions and start engagements earlier, and then do rotations. Everything was so slow by GGWP, I was really surprised.
Okay, well, that's how we think it might play out. So, now we've got it 2-0, Schoolbus on the defense. It's now time to see what GGWP does on the defense. It is time to find out live what happens between these two teams. GGWP really needs to take these defenses. So, Lauren and Ollie, take us through it.
Thank you, guys. And they certainly do need to step up their performance here. It's been a bit of a lacking display from GGWP, who surprised many during those online phases, really picking up into speed towards the later half of the online season. However, that's not really been shown here just yet, but we're waiting to see it. Now they have the opportunity. They'll get to sit back and arguably get to kind of ride the timer a little bit there, so they don't have to make too many plays when they get to warm up off the back of it. So I'm hoping that'll assist them. Do you think this might give them that little confidence boost, maybe get them playing like they should be?
They're clearly warming up into this game after not playing day one,
Yes.
not having much experience at offline events. They need to have that warm-up period. So I think they will do better here, but it's the defensive side. I'm really surprised that Schoolbus haven't picked artillery, because when they played, for instance, against Kazna in the first round, we saw 5-1 victory to Schoolbus. They won one attacking round via Arclay and the artillery doing 860 damage to Elian, but they haven't got it, and that might cause them some trouble. But we are seeing the boost up, just like Penta did. Schoolbus not seeing very many disadvantages with it.
I can't wait to see this. I wonder if they go for it. Who are they putting up? Did they fail it?
The Killzor's probably having a little bit of a giggle.
He's having a great time right now. I was like, it's not just me.
Well, his team also failed to push him up, so it's a 50-50, but they got it where it wants.
And also, though, I'm glad they're using in the 251 to do this, or at least attempting to do it in the 251 rather than what we saw last time, which kind of gave away the game. So they can kind of reset now, and they've not really lost anything from trying that. Maybe a couple of seconds here or there, pretty much a minute in. They're not, not in a bad position now going forward. However, what are we seeing Schoolbus get up to? They look quite decisive.
They're just not waiting around at all. I mean, it's standard stuff. They're heading towards the northern cap. I honestly think Schoolbus is that team that just wants to push through A6. They don't have a lot of information right now, so they don't know exactly where GGWP is if they're defending up north. But then they're looking at GGWP's lineup, no T32 in there, so they're saying how much can they really defend in the A7, B7 area. So I think the main move from Schoolbus will be to do a push-in, win the brawl, and use that player skill, which they have a slight advantage in, to actually take this attacking round home. And, GGWP has let them into this game by not winning one attacking round. You can see that southern push a little bit, probably to rotate around, but you got the Bulldog. So at the moment, Schoolbus kind of have every alley covered off.
Yeah, and I'll be looking to see how GGWP build themselves back into this game, as we noticed. A little bit of a southern play coming through from Griffin, just cautiously, I think is the word, making his way through, taking the slightly adverse route more than anything. And don't blame him, Dead Hunter not too far away. Certainly someone en route that you might want to dispatch of. However, 4 minutes and 42 seconds remaining. Schoolbus looking like they're starting to build into something here, gaining ground, and actually looking quite like they might go for a move. This is quite an aggressive positioning for someone who might be going for the cap or not.
The problem is that Ron is in G0, and also Ron in G0, FC Dynamo's in G0, and Ron is in a great position to spot. He hasn't even been spotted there. I mean, that's the brilliance of the 59-16. So he can just see whatever Schoolbus wants to do. And that's why I was kind of thinking they wanted to go to the A5, A6 area, but the thing is they didn't have that information. They don't know where Ron is. But Nuclear is going hull down, and the battle lines have been drawn. They're a little bit spread out, and Griffin being in a great position has caused Arclit some trouble. And I kind of think he's locked down a little bit. So Schoolbus are struggling to find their way into this game.
I really like that foresight from Griffin to get into that position very early on. Not necessarily to expect this, but certainly to do some work towards it. It's given a little bit of a predicament for Arclit to deal with, but I don't think he expected Mary to come in flying from the hills, and Arclit can't keep up, and he's going to turn, but he's going to go down. Nice work coming out early on for GGWP, picking up the first kill. It's only Arclit, but it does maintain such control, and look what path it's opened up. They are truly starting to pressure that southern side.
Dead Hunter actually has to run really quickly, but they have got the northern side. I'm not sure exactly what a gamble that was. I mean, yes, GGWP took down a tier 7, but Schoolbus now has the option of capping C3 or capping in the right area. So I'm not sure, but they have got FC Dynamo, who's kind of alone. If Schoolbus goes forwards, you'll have the rest of GGWP to get the cross shots on. So I actually quite like that move from GGWP. As long as FC doesn't receive too much damage and GGWP get themselves back into those defensive positions quickly. You got the Bulldog of Dead Hunter heading around. Obviously, they want to provide some support, and I think the cap will be the next logical move for SB.
And I'm amazed that Ron has been able to stay here the whole time. brilliant positioning and still playing almost like a tier 1 at times, Ron. Something you're not too unfamiliar with from those seasons not too long ago. However, Schoolbus retracting back, down to 5k HP. They're being worked down here, GGWP played have certainly up their game, and I think the defensive side is giving them room to breathe in this one, and I think they needed that. And with 2 minutes and 25 seconds left, what options are left for Schoolbus here, with such low amounts of health points to really work with?
The problem is, Ron is still alive and still spotting. Schoolbus just can't peek without constantly being lit up, and that's a big problem for him. It's just like a Muravanka. If you have a tank in a good position, we haven't seen that position before, it just causes you all sorts of nightmares, and clearly GGWP played is really working their advantage. They've got about a K more hit points. Cap is on the way, but not very much time left, so one reset will get GGWP played one defensive round on the board, but Schoolbus might just put a few tanks in there to catch them by surprise.
Genius play by Ron. I think that's one of my new favourite positions coming into this one. But finally, he does get 2 hits in a row. Ron will be surely going down. Armley finally removes him, so it might open a possibility for Schoolbus to work her way back in. The HP is a lot closer, 4.9 to 4.3. It's evened up. However, the push beginning, 25 seconds. Schoolbus swarming around that cap circle, and it's going to be the retake coming out from GGWP played, looking for a way in, looking to stop the roll. Apoel a little low on HP, as Armley catches one. Griffin peeks in. Does get the reset, going to back out though, and Armley getting caught this time. He's on fire, I believe, and Armley could go down here. Finally, Griffin picks him up, but Schoolbus seeming to dwindle in these last few seconds.
Nuclear and Dead Hunter overstayed their welcome by about 20 seconds, and that absolutely got decimated by GGWP player who are now collapsing on meritorious dispatches of Shanish. And yes, International takes down the Annihilator, leaving only Apoel left versus 6 players on decent amount of hit points for GGWP played.
Certainly. Schoolbus left with just Apoel. Sadly, no brilliant play will come from this one, I can imagine. Dodges one shell, but his options are certainly numbered. 1.2k damage met, though. Not badly done at all, but GGWP played, picking up a well-needed round that time after a shaky start, smoothing out the performance a little in round 3.
And Ron giving them that win, basically.
Yes.
I mean, clearly Schoolbus wanted to go for some sort of aggressive movement, but GGWP played was so quick. They rotated around the side. They took care of Arklit, who was in a really bad position. I mean, you've got to kind of be in a place where you can spot and not get shot. But he wasn't. He was stuck in a rock and a hard place, Griffin, making sure of that. And then Schoolbus tried to go up north, spotted consistently by Ron. That's why I was thinking the A6 area, but Ron would have got that as well, because there's that kind of non-covered place which can just find all the tanks that are crossing into the eastern trench area. So big plays by GGWP played, good positioning, good spots, and you know, that's the thing. In maps like Steps and many maps, it is the game of information. As soon as you have that information, you know where the other team is, you can allocate more resources than you would normally be able to do into areas like killing Arklit, into pressuring Dead Hunter, because you know what the other team is doing and you don't have to worry about, you know, them capping or them pushing.
Yeah, and as you said, positioning is key in the way they're playing. And I think the 2 players to highlight, as we said, Griffin and Ron, both uniquely positioned in complete north and south of the map, but both quite instrumental in that win in that round. However, it's still a 2-1, and is this the GGWP play that's dominant online? Have we seen glimpses of that yet, or not enough?
I don't think we've seen enough. I was really disappointed that we didn't have a win for GGWP played on the attack, because the defensive is a little bit more logical, pretty even on the Steps, but it's a little bit more logical. You can slow it down. The one interesting thing was that they didn't go for the T-32, they didn't go for any kind of turret tank. So GGWP played seem to be able to perform even when they are not going for the easiest thing in the world, the most cookie cutter thing. So I think they're doing well. They look more relaxed than they did at the beginning. Those hands aren't shaking. They look pretty happy in this match, and I think this is where we'll see them perform. They need to get this next round under their belt. And for Schoolbus, I mean, like, I think artillery wouldn't be a bad play for them on the attack, because it did so well last time. One shell can be the difference between winning and losing. If you hit 860 damage onto an AMX 1390 or 251 or a T-54 lightweight, you get yourself such a big advantage that when you push in, you can take that tank down really quickly, or it puts that tank back because they have to keep it safe. So I think Arklit should definitely, you know, stick to form and pick that one up.
And I want to ask you the question. It seems that people have shied away a little from the artillery this time. We saw a lot of teams toying with it on maybe at Murovankas. We saw it even a little on Prokhorovka. We've seen very little of it this time around. I think we've seen it, a few times with Schoolbus, but outside of that, I don't recall all that much artillery play. Is it just being maybe put to the back? Is it still that much of a risk?
The problem is you just roll a dice every time you play artillery with all the changes that's happened since a couple of years. You roll a dice and sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Whereas in a T-37 or whatever tank you decide to pick instead, it's a much less of a risk and it's a lot more guaranteed damage and objective play. But we've seen it work. I mean, the FV304 is not a big deal. It's not a big sacrifice, picking it up instead of another tank. But the M44, GV Panther, Lorraine is slightly more. But Schoolbus don't really have anything to lose. Like they've got 2 defensive rounds in the bag. An attacking round would be absolutely great.
And exactly, it's just a bit of an added bonus almost for them at this point. It'd be a way to get a brilliant lead going into map number 2. However, we are now moments away from finding out. So once again, guys, hashtag WGLEU. Predictions, thoughts. How well are GGWP playing? Are they up to scratch? Are they performing as you'd expect? Or is there still more to come from them? Is this too early to call? What's your thoughts? Get them through to us. Time to turn our attention towards the game. It will be Schoolbus. GGWP into this one. GGWP on the defense, looking to pick up 2 rounds this time. Schoolbus on the attack, and the train seems to be working a little better.
They're doing a little bit better this time. They've got Ron in that 59-16 also participating in pushing up the hill. But I also want to point out that Arclit is playing the M44. Clearly, it could possibly work. A little bit of damage coming out, and I think FC Dynamo has screwed up. It just took too much time. No. I think he could have done that, but Meritorious being spotted and Schoolbus knowing what they do has really forced them off that hill.
Last time it cost them nothing failing this. This time it may cost them a lot more. Schoolbus quicker towards the eastern side, starting to gain presence towards that eastern cap, has now forced GGWP firmly on the back foot. And as we said, you want those 2 defensive rounds. They are your bread and butter. That's what you should be picking up. If Schoolbus convert on an attacking side, that's big.
See what Arclit can do now. I think the problem for GGWP is that they've been thrown off their game because Schoolbus was so aggressive towards the right side. They've got themselves great positions. They got themselves that eastern cap. I think they could have pushed in. It would have been a risk, but they wanted to get the positions. They didn't want to risk it. They knew they could get an advantage in some way, shape, or form. There's no tank in C0, so absolutely everything's going the way of Schoolbus right now. Arclit has to hit a couple of shells. Well, doesn't have to, but it would be absolutely great. It would put the cherry on top of the cake. And the cap's also on the way via the T-54s. So it's really on GGWP to make the next move.
And this is where I worry, when they have to be decisive, when they have to make the plays, be the active one in this, it can kind of hold them. We saw it kind of be in the downfall in the first 2, but let's see what they've got here. They have to be the people to make the plays. They have to be the ones to find that route back in. The 251 in the south, that'd be international, but look at Shanish seeming to wait, seeming to notice almost what Griffin was up to towards that southern side. Slightly adjusted, but 20 seconds on the cap. They're going to have to make that move and make it a good one.
I think Schoolbus is a lot better on the eastern side, and it's going to be very hard for GGWP. Schoolbus has always struggled up north. The brawling power of Schoolbus is unbelievable as well. The player skill is unbelievable. 14 seconds left on the clock, and GGWP are running out of time.
And they're nowhere near. Griffin's been held back consistently, and here finally comes the push. The crest over the western side as they do start pouring in towards Schoolbus, but 30 seconds and a lot of damage received. GGWP might be in trouble. Phoenix gets put to ashes as now Montiablo left alone. It's FC Dynamo takes the brunt of the forces. International trying to bolster the numbers, but Applewell being the next target coming through from GGWP, but he takes one on the way down. And well, this is looking a bit scrappy for both, but GGWP certainly trailing here.
Montiablo trying to go in. I think Schoolbus need to kind of get themselves together and surround all the pushing tanks of GGWP. Dead Hunter desperately fighting for his life. Annihilator, though, will be crucial when he comes off reload.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see if he can still be in this game. As you said, reload becoming a big factor. It's brought the game back to a slightly closer point, but Nuclear being caught in the back, but just delivers towards Griffin so well. And now the Annihilator has shells available. This is where the damage will start coming in. They're down very low. GGWP. The Annihilator finds one. That's International gone. Gets a second. That's Griffin gone. He could make it a third, but Shanish says no. And Mary and Ron are the last two alive for GGWL played. 3 minutes to try and fend these boys off, and they found Arclit.
How the hell is Arclit still alive? I mean, unbelievable.
That long in the game.
And finally, it will be Ron to fall via nuclear, leaving Mary on 100% HP. And as I said time and time again, you never want to be in a situation where you have one tank left with a lot of shells and a lot of hit points. It does often say you got broken down. And well, Mary Torres is a perfect example of that.
Sadly, good accuracy so far, doing well for himself, but it doesn't matter in these situations. You're going to be left struggling here, and you can see it. Schoolbus deal with him perfectly, and they get themselves a 3-1 scoreline. Good performance, clinically done, and something we can expect of Schoolbus by now.
Penta made the mistake of not being able to get on the hill with that Waffenfrage fast enough. GGWL played has now done the same, taking a leaf out of their book. And clearly Schoolbus, they got the positional advantage. They kind of had a good idea that GGWL played would be trying that. They got the eastern side, they got the cap, and once they had the positions, including Annihilator and C0, it was game over.
The thing is, I think once again, this comes down to LAN performances. When we speak to analysis players, they still always reference that online play. And online play to offline play is so different. And we're seeing it here now. Online, it'd be GGWL played on this scoreline, and Schoolbus probably, switching places. But right now, it's Schoolbus showing that they do have the prowess, they have the ability and the cool, calm, collected attitude that just complements this offline play so well. And I'm looking forward to seeing what we can bring in the next couple of games, and hopefully in the next couple of maps. I'm hoping it's not over too quickly. A 3-1 scoreline, though, is pretty condemning.
And Steps is that thinking man's map.
You'd think it was GGWL played.
Prokhorovka is where those individual players come out, apart from Virtus Pro. So I think if GGWL played wanted to win this match, they would have had to done it on Steps. They haven't done that, and they've given the advantage to Schoolbus, so it's certainly on their side now.
Well, it's all up in the air still. Guys on the desk, what do you make for the play so far? GGWL played. Has it been good enough yet?
Well, they dropped a defensive map, and that was the thing we were talking about. We said it's okay if they lose the attacks, but they need to win the defenses on this map because it's very technical. It's advantage to the defender most of the time, and they dropped the second game. You guys, how did they drop it?
Oh, in the second game.
Yeah, sorry, I was talking about, you were prepared to talk about the first game. How did they drop the second game, ever so quickly?
In the second game, it's actually, they had a good idea. They circled around Schoolbus's capping tanks in the cap ring, and they were ready to do the Wolfpack move, let's cross them in the cap circle, and Schoolbus did a really brilliant job. It's really hard to be the capper and then start focus firing the tanks that are coming from everywhere around you. Usually the defender wins in that situation because all the cappers are right there, and you are just pushing them, so you can focus fire, but the defender can't. But Schoolbus did it brilliantly and defended the their capping attempt really good, with Arclit in the backline shooting with artillery for like God knows how long.
And that's the same for you, Mojo. It's like clear as day.
Well, when GGWP started closing the circle, I actually thought they will have a really good chance to win. I think they spotted Shanish on bottom position too late, and he was shooting Ru that was flanking from the south all the time, taking him out. That guy was actually the crucial part of GGWP played attack, because he was supposed to constantly shoot them in the back, Schoolbus. Also, they had a hold-on position, Annihilator, back in the hills, who could empty easily. That position is really hard to dig out unless you would confront him. If you confront him, other guys shoot you. If you attack other guys, he shoots you all the time. And eventually, they sacked the tanks that were capping. They had enough 54s, they can bounce a lot. So it all went sour because it took just too much damage and spotted just one guy a bit too late.
It did look like they were going to get it back. I thought at one point it was easy. Schoolbus has won this. They were 2,000 HP ahead, and then it switched down to basically neck and neck again.
That's the moment when we saw a lot of tanks attack a smaller group in the middle, but then that constant damage coming from all the sides came through, and that was the real result.
Well, that second game was a disaster, but the first game was pretty much cut really early on. We actually have the moment where the first game was decided. The third map, in case you didn't know which one we're talking about, the first one of the second group. Arclit, out of position. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Go, please.
Yeah, the third map pretty much came down to this moment where Arclit and Dead Hunter were in the south, completely off position, and Meritorious caught them, and there was actually one other guy also in the hills in the K line. And let's play the.
Yeah, let's get the mini map up. There you go. So you see that the entire Schoolbus is so far away.
Yeah, the Schoolbus tanks are up in the north. There's Arclit there, Dead Hunter there, and Meritorious is here. And there's one guy in here. So Arclit is in a really bad position. He's trying to stay behind this rock, but he cannot really move because he's going to get shot from 2 angles, and Meritorious is just going to pick him up. Dead Hunter realizes what's going on, and at that moment, Dead Hunter has only one option to move from here back to his team. And at the same moment, GG well played had tanks in here that could easily just come and kill these tanks, while Meritorious and this guy drive straight through from the middle. So this Death Hunter was completely off positioned in that time.
Your thoughts, Mojo?
Well, I would say the only problem here is because Arclick basically took a leap of faith. They didn't have tank spotted. They didn't know exactly where GGWP is, as you can see on the map. So they went to probe, expecting maybe 1, maybe 2 tanks, but actually that was intention from the start with GGWP, because we could see they had tanks here in numbers, actually waiting and swarming, and all of them were just waiting for someone to appear on that side of the map. They wanted this all the time. This was just a spotting area for them to know if enemy is somewhere there. So Arclick just fell for it, and that was that.
And we can highlight the banana play of the match, but both times the Killzor position was failed to
yes, I must say his laugh was echoing the audience all the time.
Yeah, I believe you might have actually heard it there at home when the Killzor was bulking with laughter every time that play went out. Did people pick up on that play, that fail?
Yeah, absolutely. And Heavy Porcupine just tweeted actually this. We can pretty much show it to give him some on-air time. Of course, please to my computer. So this failed hill climb shows GG well played perfectly. Not serious enough. Too many mistakes. That's a bit harsh. I mean, they're still in the semis, right?
Yeah.
They made it that far, so we have to give them some credit for it. But he has a point, actually.
Is this way to say it? I think that GGWP is suffering from Virtus Pro syndrome right now. Both these teams came fresh to today. They were not warmed up, and it seems like both teams are suffering.
I mean, that's not completely true, because they had enough time to warm themselves up in the warm-up areas. It's not like that we're sitting them down cold and without playing a single match. And at this level of play, you should actually consider stuff that works.
Well, Ron did say at the start it's a slight advantage. He said, I don't consider coming cold too much of a disadvantage. He did say that. Obviously, they do get to practice that back. But what I meant by cold was they haven't played on stage yet. And we have discussed this before, that it is hard to sit down in a new place with a new keyboard set up. Exactly. I know it's your own keyboards and mice, but it's a little bit harder, just a little bit.
Honestly, it looked like they actually didn't practice that. They just knew they can do it, and they saw yesterday what Penta did, and they were like, okay, it can't be that hard. Yeah, go figure.
Okay. So quick head to the vote. 69% for Schoolbus still. So.
Well, it's still in Schoolbus's favor, and it looks like it's still slightly in their favor. 3-1 right now. What's the next map we're playing? We're playing, oh yes, Ron's favorite map, the random map, is he called out, and he criticized Virtus Pro for going onto this map. And let's see if they've actually got a backup plan. So let's see exactly what happens. Lauren and Oliver, what do you think?
There was a good moment when we heard him talking about those maps, and we've got the little map picks like right here. We're like, huh, really, Ron? Really? But
it's
still.
Like, what? It just made no sense.
It literally was a little bit backwards. Yeah. But still, maybe there is method to the madness. Maybe this is where they turn around and finally show up. Because 3-1 is condemning at the moment. It's not looking great so far for them. And maybe they need a little bit of that random luck to be on their side this time. Maybe they can chalk it up to that, who knows. They certainly used to have a lot of excuses ready for their land fails previously. Maybe they got them back for this one. However, Schoolbus seemingly on point so far. What can we expect going into this from them both?
As I said, I think Schoolbus is that individual team which will help them in these brawling situations. There's only really one way you can play prokhorovka. It will be, of course, GGWL played attacking first and Schoolbus defending. So that can switch things up a little bit, but we haven't seen a lot of variation depending on the side they start.
Yeah, looking back at the last times we've seen Prokhorovka. It was a bit of a bloodbath, to say the least. It was the Virtus Pro moment, so I think that's a bit of a game unto itself. But we are seeing a little bit of aggression and a little bit of a push across the center coming out from Schoolbus, looking like they want to challenge GGWP played here in the village, and Phoenix takes a lot in the first as they do crest that railroad, but Armley gets picked up from that eastern side, and already a lot of fire coming back and forth here. This could be scrappy.
GGWP played are using the exact same tactic Penta did, but Schoolbus are doing it so much better than what Penta did, and well, Kamsna Crew managed to pick that one up. Griffin does find Armley, so it's a 1-for-1 exchange at this point.
It is still very close on HP as well. These two very similar, but look at Arclit, Annihilator, and Dead Hunter. They're the difference here. They actually made challenge Griffin and co on that hill. Mary very low down to the one-shot. The Annihilator maybe peering out for it, but gets punished from the back lines. Crossfire being set up everywhere. The lines of battle being redrawn once again. But Mondiablo still bolstering those HP numbers drastically in that massive tank there. But still, all in all, this is a very, very tentative game.
With Run on that hill in the T-37, it's impossible for Dead Hunter and Arclit to push over that hill without receiving a lot of damage from FC Dynamo, Griffin, and Montiablo. I guess Schoolbus could try and YOLO to kill Meritorious, but it would be a 1-for-1 exchange regardless. So what Schoolbus needs to do is just reset the fight, slow it down, and go to the other side of the map. But International gets caught as he crosses the railroad.
I'm not sure if he didn't expect Nuclear, Shanish, and Applewell to have a shot towards here. I'm not too certain, however. It is an oversight, and Shanish will punish it, finding any weakness and making the most of it. Now, a 2-for-1 exchange overall, the advantage sitting with Schoolbus, and you can see the Annihilator looking for Mary being found, but actually the Annihilator takes a shell. The Annihilator may have overextended and made an error here. Meritorious punishes him.
One of the few times I've ever seen Annihilator actually missing a shell. That's unbelievable, but Schoolbus, with that kill, get the advantage.
And look at this play towards the center. The tanks in the northern side have pushed down towards the center of this map, and they may be looking for a way on towards Griffin. They sweep him aside as Nuclear and Applewell, joined by Shanish in the roaming squad, just start dominating the map. And Schoolbus starting to take their stride almost here. And if they get 4-1, is there a turnaround for GGWP played?
There could possibly be a turnaround, but again, GGWP played hasn't really lost any matches this season, so they don't really know what losing is like. Of course, at this point, Schoolbus is on the defense, so they can just let GGWP played come forwards, which would be very hard for them to win because Schoolbus is, at the moment, up quite significantly in HP, but not for much longer.
Finally, Mondiablo and FC Dynamo find an angle towards Shanish. Ron will finish the job. And there is still crossfire to be had here, and there is still a turnaround possible for GGWP played. But they have to set up the dynamic. They have to control the situation of engagement and make Schoolbus come to them. We've seen maybe the Schoolbus are a little trigger happy at times. We saw the Annihilator overextend, get taken down and punished by Mary. So there's a possibility. Let's see what they can do here. Schoolbus starting to search. FC Dynamo, Applewell missing a shot there. FC Dynamo will not. And already, this is a bit of a dangerous one. FC Dynamo does have the extended damage, but look at this play starting to begin.
Nuclear and Dead Hunter just got the perfect cross on Montiablo, can make a few shots, but you'll have to reload in between each shell, so FC Dynamo is in big trouble.
He is, but he's staying alive for now, but it's a matter of time for Applewell to come raging through. He does get the hit, gets the ram, gets him down. Nicely done for Applewell. But still, 3 tanks remain. 3 minutes and 4 seconds, and that timer will start becoming a heavier burden on GGWP played the longer this goes on. And Arclit beginning to roam for Mondiablo. Going to keep eyes on him. Gets a fire on the go, and Mondiablo losing out on their health very quickly.
Yeah, Arclit just wants to take Montiablo down to a one-shot. He might actually be able to find him.
Sadly not, but it's a 1-for-1 exchange, a worthy one in this rate. And now Ron and Mary, the last two alive, did great work initially, but now I think it may be a little beyond them. And again, 566 to 1.1k, it's still close in HP, but the tank difference is pretty substantial.
Yeah, one extra gun in the game.
Reload as well.
And one extra gun in the game. Mary's on reload, as you said. Ron's also, Ron's gunner's also been taken out, so the Bulldog will slightly be at disadvantage. You can see his Amarak has also been taken out, but he's playing without the autoloader, so it's not a massive deal. Now, Schoolbus have two options. They can either just finish this game off. I think they can do that pretty easily as Mary and Ron are one-shots. Yeah. Or they can sit back, drive to A1 and have a tank in A6 and end it like that. But Ron is obviously going to secure himself that first option.
Applewell finished the job here. 4-1 now. Schoolbus picking up a very important round to get them towards match point here. And one more round to go, and they are through to the finals, ladies and gents. what a finals it would be. Kazna against Schoolbus, something dreams are made of. And, well, Schoolbus looking like they mean business, and I just don't feel they've been tested this game.
I just don't get why GGWL played is copy and pasting the tactics of Penta. I mean, to be fair, the only reason why Penta lost that match is because Fluky overextended to try and take down Hyber in that T32. Schoolbus didn't make that mistake. Yes, they made mistakes elsewhere. For instance, I think Annihilator missing that shell or even going for that exchange was one. And also Shani's trying to reverse out of there was another one. But the thing is, Schoolbus just kind of got themselves some good cover, some good play, and just managed to get some good focus fire down. And then they rotated around, they did the right thing, they played around the tracks. A great crossfire setup against FC Dynamo to secure themselves that 2-5-1 kill. And it was a lot more logical. I mean, this is such a clinical Schoolbus. I don't think I've ever seen them be so calm and collected and literally make no mistakes.
And this is something that you don't often see from a team of talents, if you put it that way. When, let's say, Schoolbus shook the shackles of Stalker, and got rid of the team captain, they kind of took this attitude of all of us have input, all of us have a voice. We don't have one leader. We have maybe a captain in our clip, but he's not the guy who just gives us commands. It's an all-in team with everyone's opinions in one place, which is good at times, but it can get messy. You see individuals starting to perform over others, which is fine, and they've always had that element of that. However, this is the first time we're really seeing them show that they can be this very, very strong actual collective of players as a team. Oh, they're the man we've been discussing, closest to camera, and Ron on the other side. Very different leaders in style and captains in the way they work, but Ron, certainly a lot to consider here. You can see the pen is out, the notepad being worked upon, but I don't know what there's really left to discuss for them. It's a quiet time, it seems, for GGWL played.
Current scoreline 4-1, and, you know, quiet commiseration for them, it might be one of the sentences I would use. Prokhorovka is a map neither of these two teams have played. They don't really know what to expect on it. But GGWL played have just been fantastic all season. Schoolbus have scraped into this finals with only 3 wins, 3 tiebreaker wins and 2 tiebreaker losses. I mean, they had like 1 point over TCM to get here, but they've been so good, absolutely on form, and I'm not sure what it is about Schoolbus when it comes to offline events, but they seem to go into overdrive, into some sort of weird meta state, meta Schoolbus. And it gives them that edge against these kind of newcomers that they can't really overcome.
Meta Schoolbus sounds like a bit of a Pokemon as well. Was it Meta? What was it? Metapod?
Metapod, one of my favorites. Yeah, it's a good one.
There's a really bad joke that I'm dying to say, but I'll probably get fired. Anyway, we are waiting on the players. As you can tell, it's quite the situation for these guys. So they don't want to rush it. They don't want to make any errors now. It's time to discuss, time to consider and think through their options and make sure in the right place. Because as you said, Schoolbus become an incredible team of people throughout this. And only when they get to offline finals, it seems. So this is time now for GGWL Play to step the hell up. It's do or die time. Let's see what they can do here.
Phoenix, shot caller for GGWL Play, described his team as unstable, and it's certainly coming to light here. They are unstable. They don't really seem to have a plan of action, and all the strengths which you would kind of liken to GGWL played, individual skill, tactical ability, haven't kind of crested that instability we haven't really seen in this season. So we are finally ready to get into game, and it is match point.
It is indeed match point for Schoolbus as well. 4-1 so far, 1 round away from the finals to face off against Kazna Crew. And well, Schoolbus will be on the defense, GGWL Play will be on the attack. And take me through what we're seeing so far.
Well, very interestingly, Mary Torres and Montiablo are playing IS-3s, so we haven't seen the IS-3 to this extent on this map. Yes, we saw a T-32 played by Kazna Crew yesterday, but the IS-3 is not really a common pick. Now, Schoolbus are doing one of the great tactics on Prokhorovka you can now do by pushing the 1-2 line and getting that right side. They do kind of leave that eastern cap a little bit alone, but they're counting on those 2 IS-3s being so slow that they'll have enough time to rotate around and get themselves into position before GGWL Play can try anything.
Oh, look at Applewell. Maybe feeling a little aggressive here. This is an interesting position coming out from him. Going to head up. It's still the safety. There is still that divide in this map. There is still the railroad that cuts it almost down the middle to a degree, but position do you prefer here? Where would you rather be? Which side would you rather be on, ignoring the match point, obviously?
Well, I want to see what GGWP does with those IS-3s. I mean, they're great hull-down tanks, so I guess the middle play is where they want to be going. And once they have those tanks in the cap, it's going to be hard for Schoolbus to actually weed them out because the T-37, not T-37, the 251 played on the hill by FC Dynamo. So I would thought that's the kind of strategy. I mean, the Western cap is completely out of the question, or the Northern cap, depends what you like to call it at this point, unless they really do want to commit everything across. Now, I'm not exactly sure how GGWP wants to play towards the beginning of this game, on the middle side of this game. I mean, obviously, if they do start a cap, I can see how Schoolbus might struggle, but those IS-3s need to be getting in a good position, and Schoolbus have spread themselves around the map nicely. They kind of see everything, they have everything under control, and the cap has started though.
It's not by the IS-3s, it's by the T-37, and then the IS-3s towards the village. I'm a little confused here. I can see, you can almost see the logic to the way it should be played out, but it's not quite what GGWP have in mind. So Ron in the cap, Mary and Diablo holding that center point. Up in the north, the 251. In the south, another 251. What do you make of it?
Well, it's perfect when you consider that really the best place to push, and a lot of teams do it in the Virtus Pro-esque style, is through the middle. And GGWP is basically saying with those two IS-3s, no, you can't push through. If you do push through, you're going to get obliterated by the crossfire they set up. So it's making it a little bit hard for Schoolbus. You've got the T-54 down south, and to be honest, I really like this from GGWP. It's one of the first time we've seen them attacking with their own strategy, and it's working quite nicely. Now, Schoolbus will have to go all in at some point, or they'll have to send one tank to make that reset.
Well, I think that time's going to have to be around now. 12 seconds on the cap. It's going to be time for them to make that committed move. 9 seconds. Keep your eyes on the timer. It's the biggest factor here. Shots do come in. Armley commits, but he does get the shell through, and Mary doesn't have a shot to be made just yet. Armley committing. Applewell as well from the south comes in, not yet questioned by International. And maybe GGWP haven't thought this through, but I'm waiting for those IS-3s to get into this one.
They're doing great damage, though. Armley does fall via 3 shots from the IS-3 of Phoenix, and the Annihilator having a little bit of a 1 versus 1. Schoolbus have got that objective. They've reset the cap, and they've pretty much stopped GGWP from being able to cap full stop. But Schoolbus still need to make that definitive move, and GGWP are hanging on, and I think they're going to go for the overmatch in the north.
Exactly, you said it perfectly. Then the objective, the move, where are they going to make it? What's their end goal here? Ron going to try and fold on towards Arclid, but Arclid just says no, denies Ron on the push, and FC Dynamo can't commit either. The Annihilator still has a shell to make, and Griffin goes down. This is a huge mistake. Schoolbus have just turned it on in a dime. That's unbelievable.
FC Dynamo and Phoenix are suffering the changes in 9.6. You just don't have that railroad kind of elevation to stay safe from the middle area, and perhaps some bad preparation from GGWP as they do start to dwindle in hit points.
Yeah, indeed, down to 2.5. That's going to hurt as well. Mondiablo going down in the IS-3. Something that was doing so much good damage is now removed. 4 tanks stand for GGWP, and that is the difference between Schoolbus here and in the finals. 4 more tanks as Nuclear comes in, challenges Mary, looking for the way through, looking for another shell. Dancing round it, but Phoenix does take down the Annihilator, but Nuclear replies in just as much vigor as now Nuclear gets questioned, but it's back and forwards 4v3. The HP is not too different now, and actually GGWP holding on, but by quite the thin thread.
Yeah, they still have to attack, they still have to get these objectives or kill these tanks, but they have got themselves the advantage now, 3-2. They are fighting for their finals place, they're fighting for that first place they desperately want, but can they make that final push?
Exactly that. GGWP are on the attack. They have to close this out. Dead Hunter may be caught in a trap here. FC Dynamo has a good shot towards him. Applewell, brilliantly done by FC Dynamo again, spotting him out, getting the shot. International takes down Dead Hunter. Applewell is a one-shot here. And now 1v3, 1 minute and 25 seconds to stay alive. I think the game is up for this man here, and I think he goes in. There we go, International saving the day. GGWP finally picking up another round, making it 2-4.
Great play, great individual play. I think mistakes from Schoolbus included Nuclear pushing into the middle, getting himself killed. But I just think they kind of gave away a little bit up in the north. They had such a great advantage on the right side. They made it a lot closer than they should have done. And well, Schoolbus just kind of wanted to play a little bit too individually. There wasn't so much teamwork. They should have played calm. They should have just got the resets. And I think as well, the amount that they had to sacrifice to take down those IS-3s wasn't great.
Yeah.
So finally, we're seeing GGWP Played make their own tactic work for them.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot to be said about kind of Schoolbus's mentality towards that late game where it felt that maybe they'd already thought they'd won it to a degree, got a little sloppy, playing as individuals rather than what we've been saying up to this point of how well they've been playing as a team, and then finally GGWP Played catching up a bit. Dangerous predicament, 2 rounds difference now. Analysis desk, how's this one looking for them both? It's getting a little closer now.
I don't know what to say. Schoolbus had it. It was GG. We're like, okay, done. They've won. They're so far ahead. That was great defense. And then we unraveled, and it's now 4-2. Schoolbus lost one of their defenses. That's not a good sign, although they're still ahead. What happened in that last game?
It looked like that Schoolbus had it, but when GGWP Played, changed the tanks from the middle. They pulled 2 tanks from the middle to the north, left the IS-3s on the cap next to the cap ring, and pushed an overmatch to the north. That's where it all started, and that's where GGWP Played started to win the match. And it pretty much escalated from there because they overmatched the north and then killed the tank from there. The ISS pushed through from the train tracks and started killing the tanks in the middle.
Mojo?
In this game particularly, I think Schoolbus played excellent until one point. When they were in lead and they smelled victory, Nuclear with 100% health went for an IS-3. We saw that near dodge, ram and things like that. And he actually for 600 slow IS-3 lost his 1200 HP. And I think in that moment he lost them a game because then they were outnumbered and outpositioned.
So Nuclear giving up his position to finish off the IS-3.
By giving up his, let's say, life for one tank, it's not worth it. They were defending.
That's right. I think this is what we forget sometimes, that the defending team can just sit back and wait for the attackers to come in. And that's exactly what they'd done until they got the advantage. And then I guess it was like, YOLO, we've won this, let's just go finish them off.
I wouldn't say it like that. I think he's a really good player who thought he saw a good opportunity to end it faster. It was just a bad judgment called at the end, but many previous judgments he had were right, so you can't blame him.
No, just this one particular moment. I think I got to stress this. So a lot of times, a lot of people forget, or they blame that one moment when you're in that random game, and the very last mistake you see, you blame. Remember that 2 tanks left, 2 on the enemy team, and you're 1 full HP tank, and everyone's screaming at them, how did it lose? Because it's full HP and it died. You got to remember that a lot of mistakes happened before that moment that led to this critical moment, and it's not just this one person's fault. So Nuclear may have messed up at the end, but there was a lot more little mistakes there and then from Schoolbus. It's not just his fault. Just that he could have prevented the loss. I think that's a fair way to say. So now we actually have the offensive coming up. So this is Schoolbus defending. They lost one of them, so now they've got to pick up 1 attack. Is it possible?
Of course it's possible, and Schoolbus has the individual skill to do it. So why not?
Okay, well, let's find out. Schoolbus are ready to attack GGWP's defenses. Now, it was 1-1 so far on this map. Currently, the score is 4-2, so GGWP really need this. So, Lauren and Oliver, take us through it.
Well, thank you, guys. And yeah, we will be looking forward to this one. I'm not sure what to make now of GGWP Play. They look like they're starting to wake up, but it's at such a late point. They're going to have to bring 2 back-to-back wins here, which, hey, it's feasible, it's possible, and they could tie it up. And if Schoolbus let it slip, I'd be very surprised and almost disappointed that they did.
I would be as well, because they've been playing really on point, and GGWP Played, you said it perfectly, have been warming up, and despite what Ron said, I think they would have done better if they played in that first day, even if they went through the loser bracket. But they have to go on, Schoolbus has to go on the attack now. They won that attacking round on steps. They look pretty good, they look pretty collected, but I have to say it was more because of GGWP Played's bad positioning and that initial play that really lost them that game. But still, those 2 attacking rounds where GGWP Played were unusually slow for Prokhorovka. There was a lot of thinking going on from GG, and I think Schoolbus will be wanting to speed it up a little bit, go for those brawls, use that individual skill. And I don't think Nuclear is going to make that same mistake twice in those situations.
Oh, this is very interesting, though. Look at this positioning coming out. In the north, it's GGWP Played on defense and Schoolbus on the attack in the south. And what do you make of this so far? This is a little unique.
It's a one-line push, but Arclit spotted out. I'm not sure if that was Arclit or the rest of them receives a little bit of damage, but it's slow. It's fast to get back. Only receives one shell for its trouble. So immediately, Schoolbus know where GG played are. And, well, GG have to be careful. They have to, get around to these positions without receiving too much damage. But because of those M41s, it doesn't allow them to push down the south too heavily unless they want to go all in and take down, for instance, Arclit.
Yeah, all into this moment get a little bit scary for both sides. GG played can't really afford it, in my opinion at least. It's scary on 2-4. They're one round away from being done and dusted. And you can see those Bulldogs starting to roam a little bit. Dead Hunter and Arclit close to Ron. Everyone else lining up, as you said before, battle lines being drawn. But those 2-5-1s are looking quite decisive here, pushing forward straight across that E-line.
Yeah, they want to go straight in. They know they can actually overmatch. They know the Bulldogs are not on the hill. And I think, GG Played might want to take down those two Bulldogs. To be honest, Dead Hunter and Arclit, if GG Play wants to kill them, they're dead meat. They might receive a lot of damage, but still they would get 2 Tier 7 light tanks out of the equation. And obviously, Schoolbus know that as they go forwards with those 2 T54 lightweights and try and keep GG Played back.
Yeah, interesting play. Let's see if they can do it as well. Nuclear does take one, but gets one back, and we might see a bit of a brawl here. That T54's coming in, another 2-5-1. They're all starting to build right around that central point. And who would have the advantage if there was just an engagement right now?
Well, Phoenix just decided to take 500 damage crossing, so a little bit of trouble. Arclit, Dead Hunter want to go for the engage.
Yeah, they're going for this. Mary's going to head in. Mondiablo, it's an all-in play. They're going to catch Nuclear out. He is on his own, but Dead Hunter still fighting, finds Ron. But can they get him more? Mary goes low, but Mary takes Nuclear with him, so it's a 1-for-1 exchange. And right now, Schoolbus in the lead, 3K to 5. It's a big advantage for Schoolbus. Can they hold on to it? Applewell takes it further, adds insult to injury as now GG Played are struggling here. Left in an awkward predicament. Applewell finds one more, and FC Dynamo, the crossfire, 3 shells back to back. I'm surprised he can stand. 11 HP. Applewell puts him out of his misery. It looks like Schoolbus are on the verge here.
Griffin and International are 2 left to try and keep the hopes alive for GG Played, and Applewell are trying to go in. They have got a lot of HP, but the overmatch is unreal.
It's huge here. There's nothing to be done. Surely GG Played. No, it's over. Arclit takes them one step closer to those finals as International is the last hurdle. Schoolbus know it. Armley takes one shell, goes for the ram, holds International and waits for the shell to become available. And there we have it, ladies and gents. Schoolbus make it to the finals.
Impressive play by the veterans, and despite GG Played putting up a good fight, at least on prokhorovka, Schoolbus are going to teach those kids how it's done in an epic 5-2 victory. And that last match just showed the difference. Schoolbus staying collected. Obviously, GG Played going impatient, going across the field, receiving a lot of damage, going for a weird all-in. Schoolbus had the cover, they had the positions, and they had the skill to take them down.
Sadly feel that was almost a lackluster performance from GG Played, considering the caliber that they'd provided throughout the entire season. To see it kind of amalgamate in this sort of moment, I feel there was so much more they could have brought. But to face Schoolbus in these situations, the guys who consistently find form in events like this, it's a very tough performance. It's a very tough match to come into. And really, experience kind of won through more than anything. And that's the main thing we need to keep in mind, that Schoolbus, no matter what they do online, you get them to these events, you put the pressure against them, they seem to always turn their hell up.
It's incredible, isn't it? I mean, they have struggled like hell online to perform, but here, they're just absolute beasts. They're dominant, and they go on to fight Cancer Crew in those finals for the big check at the end of the day, and the possibility of being season finalists, first place holders for the second time in a row, and also third offline event win if you consider Rumble in the West as well. So an absolute massive performance, and they guarantee 100% themselves a place in the grand finals.
And that's a massive addition as well. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, I kind of wanted this as the grand finals, I think.
So did I.
It's pretty damn good. All right, so the fans in us are pretty pleased with this one, but God only knows how pleased Schoolbus are. Mitch, how's it feeling on stage right now?
I think this picture speaks for itself. Oh dear. The man of the moment, Arclit, with me here on stage, and what a victory that was for you guys. You guys seem really cool, calm and collected there. You definitely seem quite confident right now and comfortable. Look, I want to ask you a little bit about Prokhorovka. Ronnie actually said in the interview that, he thinks it was a bad idea that Virtus Pro picked that map. He thinks it was a bad idea that they went with that. Still, Mojo sort of commented that, it wasn't such a bad move, but I don't know. It always seems like such a dice roll. It always seems like such a 50-50 map. I mean, is that the case? Is it always, a bit, I don't know, hard to tell who's going to come out on top?
Yes, it's a bit random map and it's definitely a hard one to play. But if you catch an enemy in the right position, you can win it. That's what you saw when we just were defending in the first round. We just guessed and the guess rolled in perfectly. We countered the tactics without knowing it. So all it came to is not giving away too many rounds. We had just a little bit to go on, and that's it. We played carefully. We didn't let ourselves get ahead of us. We kept it calm and collected, and that's how we did it.
I want to talk to you about one of the maps, the Prokhorovka one, actually, that you narrowly lost. We saw GGWP actually move onto the cap quite early in the round, really forcing you to make a move. Now, Prokhorovka is the kind of map where even the defending team doesn't have many places to hide, but you can use the train line, you can use the undulations in terrain. How do you respond to a team who pushes onto a cap and forces you to kind of commit a tank to resetting them? How would you have liked that map to have gone?
You push back. That's it. You have to coordinate your attack. You have to push back because if you let the enemy take the initiative on this map, it's very, very hard to come back. And we almost lost that initiative on this map. It's just a bit of lucky timing that we decided to move our forces just when enemy decided to attack us.
Well, congratulations to you, Arklet. You are in to the grand final of the WGLU Season 5. Another round of applause for the man. Thank you. Well, I mean, what a strange situation. I mean, both of the teams who qualified to Day 2 directly are now going to be fighting it out for third place. But before we get on to that, I'm sure there's plenty of material to cover from our experts over on the desk. Dorjan?
Thank you, Mitch. Now, it's really interesting to see that the very first battle of the day, yesterday, is going to be the very last battle of the day, today. So it's going to be a rematch number 2 there. But before we go into that, let's talk about this battle. The salt is real. That last map, it didn't go very well, did it, for GGWP?
Yeah, it didn't. Actually, both teams tried to bait each other. GG well played with the T-54 in the second line, in the middle of the map. And at the same time, Schoolbus with the Bulldogs at the dunes. Neither team took the bait straight away, but GGWP rotated to the middle of the map, from the east-west side to the middle of the map, to the train tracks, and thought that, okay, we can overmatch Schoolbus in the village area. They went there with all of their tanks, except one RU, which went straight to the Bulldogs. So, okay, we have 2 Bulldogs fighting 1 RU, and the rest of the tanks fighting in the village. You guys at that point said that, okay, Schoolbus is done. I was like, nope. Because Schoolbus has excellent crossfire positions from the south side of the map, right top of the train tracks. So they were safe, just shooting the tanks of the GG well played. Nuclear was in a bad position, but he bought the time for his teammates to deal the damage needed to win the match.
Well, I have to say, Mojo, you said 5-2 to GGWP, but you were willfully accepting 5-2 for Schoolbus.
Oh, yes, I do, and I will smile at it.
And that's exactly what happened. I guess you kind of had that gut feeling that it was going to happen.
I was hoping for this. This is a dream final now for everyone here, I think.
I think so. I mean, Kazna didn't perform that well in their first day, but today they're on fire. So that rematch is the match that everyone wanted to see. That first match was a bit disappointing, but now we're going to see that later on today.
I think it will be everything from the scratch. Both teams will now just scratch whatever was in the past and just play it. Slight advantage goes to Schoolbus as a very experienced offline team. They proved it many, many times. Kazan struggled a lot. This is their biggest success so far. Rank number 3 was the highest. And this is a shot for a title. This is brilliant. Record breaking.
Absolutely.
From 0 to hero.
And it's another record, obviously, Virtus Pro not being in the finals is another record that's been broken because they had 4 successful first or second positions in a row. I think that's true, but there may have been one other.
Only people who broke Virtus for Schoolbus.
Right, so Any last notes from those two battles we just saw?
Yes, I'm really thinking, did the GGWP read patch notes at all? Like they were overusing RUs that were dominant on prokhorovka, but now they're just a bit obsolete. They just fell behind.
Fell behind in
Every
the
other
meta.
team is using T54s. GGWP used RUs.
I thought they're making some kind of trap to snipe and to do something like that, but no, they just went for a brawl again and again lost the brawl.
It seems like GGWP was a little bit behind the meta. That's what we think. What's everyone else been thinking?
I mean, the community at home had hope and GGWL played until the very last round. I saw tweets coming in using the hashtag WGLU, so if you want to say something, that they still can make it to the decider if they just pull themselves together, rally up and do it. But sadly, well, it didn't work out. So the community knew in first place since the vote ended after the first map with 69% for Schoolbus and a lot of people voting a 5-2 ending. So congratulations, guys, you are pretty much on point. So yeah, that's. I mean, the reactions are still coming in. And people at home, if you want to get involved, just head over to Twitter, follow us at WGLEU, and join the conversation by simply using the hashtag WGLEU. And of course, on Facebook, we have a lot of challenges running on Facebook. So we actually can do that together. Let's go through them together one by one. So if we can look quickly on my screen, I will introduce you to our contests. And the first one, it runs over 2 days, is pinned to the very top. So if you head over to facebook.com/WGLEU, you can hardly miss it. It's the big one where you can see Mitch standing on our beautiful stage. And people, as you see, a lot of people already participated. And yeah, just get in your pictures from how you enjoy the WGLEU finals. And we can't wait to see all our viewers in this comment section. And of course, the other contest we quickly made up here on site, thanks to our awesome head of esports EU, Nico. Well, the first challenge was to reach 7,500 viewers on the stream. We did that, so we will get another Type 59 to give away. The other one sits in the contest with where you have to send in pictures how you enjoy the finals. So, and then he said, why not another one? So make it 3, Melly. Let the types reign. And if we reach 15,000 viewers on our stream, we will give away another Type 59 amongst everyone that shares the regarding post on our Facebook page globally. Make sure that it's globally so I can see that you've shared it. If you just share it for your friends, then bad luck. Then thanks for sharing, but you can't really enter the contest like that. Just set the settings to globally so everyone can see it, and maybe you can, well, get a Type 59 if we reach the 15,000. So tell your friends, tell everyone to join our stream. And I think it will be really, really amazing after a break, I guess, with the deciding match between Virtus.pro and GGWP for the 3rd place. So see you back in some time.